Hello and welcome to another episode on TSJ TV. Springboks played on Saturday and we're definitely going to talk about them because there is plenty to talk about with regards to the Springboks, particularly what happened last week with the World Cup announcement, which almost gave life to the match between South Africa and France on Saturday. That France would be the hosts in 2023 of the Rugby World Cup. Certainly came as a shock to a lot of South Africans, including myself. Am I happy or am I unhappy about the fact that we're not hosting the World Cup? No, I'm not unhappy. I feel like we've got a lot more to deal with in terms of South African rugby and not just politics in South Africa in general. With South African rugby, that we still need to iron out. There's still a lot that we can work on and improve on in terms of our rugby structures and how we can, you know, sort of open our doors to the world again. In years to come. But certainly 2023 was not a year that I wanted us to host a Rugby Nation or a Rugby World Cup, but we did try, we did with our bid, we did as much as we could. But I want us to move on to the actual match on Saturday because now it's done. We know who's hosting the World Cup in 2023, France. If you can go there, good, but if you can't, you can watch from home. Saturday we watched from home what happened, you know, at the Millennium, or what happened in France, the start of CONCEDE on Saturday between South Africa and France. France coming by just 1 point close to South Africa, 18-17 the final score. Just a few things that I picked up from the match on Saturday and what I wanted to see with the changes, the 10 changes that Ellis Dickensian made to the side during the week. Certainly areas that I wanted improvement from, and which is what I wanted to see from the side for a while now, is running rugby, go forward ball. And I can certainly say from the forwards there's Ebenezabeth, who I can singly I can point out in saying that he tried the past 2 weeks, you know, ball in hand, contact, not losing the ball, being able to put it back, gaining more momentum going forward and giving space out wide to outside backs. And I saw that in Andre Pollard as well. I'm sure he was hungry to make a mark himself, having been on the sidelines for a while, to sort of make an impact on the side, get the ball and try get the back line that everybody wants to see moving forward and getting over the advantage line, which I think has been the issue with the Springboks, not being able to get over the advantage line, but still managing to keep the ball. You know, they are able to keep the ball at times for, you know, a minute and a half, but what do you do with the ball in that minute and a half? Would you rather have it for 10 seconds getting to the try line, or having it for 2 minutes without even getting anywhere near the try line at all? You know, so it's that I wanted to see on Saturday, an improvement from the back line, an improvement from 9-10, having authority on the field, knowing what you're doing, having a plan, you know, and looking the part. Because I asked my friend today, if we were to play World Cup qualifiers at the moment, the Springboks wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it. I don't want to believe that the Springboks can win 4 matches in a row with 4 different teams. I don't see them doing that at the moment. Playing 4 different teams, 4 consecutive weekends, and winning all 4 of them to get to a final. I don't see them doing that. And we're not far off from the 2019 World Cup. But certainly the personnel that Ellis Dickensian made changes with on Saturday, I was most notably keen on seeing Andre Pollard, because for a very long time I have been crying with the fact that Elton John, yes, he is the best that we have in the country, but is he effective? You know, is he effective when we get to test level? You know, because he's been found wanting the past 2 seasons, particularly in the finals, that the two finals that he's played over the 2 years in the Super Rugby. And I know it's a step higher, international rugby, but Super Rugby is where these guys sort of rate themselves and where we gauge as to how good enough they are to go a step higher for the Springboks. And Elton John has out and out been the best fly half in the country the past 2 years. But is he effective when he gets to the Springboks? Is he? And people speak of him playing with the moving forward pack, or this or that, or this or that. But at the end of the day, his job, his main priority is to make sure the team goes forward. That's the oldest trick in the book for a fly half. no matter how, if we're under pressure, we look to you to put us out of our miseries and get us into better territory at the time. But I just didn't see that. You know, I just see an Elton John who's still yet to become the player that we all want him to be, and I think he's running out of time because there's plenty of players putting up their hands, and I was happy to see Hendrik Pollard. I saw glimpses of him, and particularly wanting to spread the ball wide and get behind the forwards, and sort of, if he's got that option to get it out wide and the one to cut in, which I see he likes still cutting in, then he has that option as well. He backs himself with ball in hand in contact, and so he has in his game as well. So there's a lot that he also needs to sort of dust off, and you know he was also developing into a great player in 2015 when he got that injury, but it's an opportunity for him. I'm sure Ellis Dickensian will be consistent like he's been with his selections going forward, giving him another chance. But another issue that I have with him, Ellis Dickensian, because he was under pressure to win on Saturday, is his selection on the bench and how he uses his substitutions. You know, there's no point in international rugby giving someone 5-10 minutes, you know, to be effective, particularly it being a backline player. You know, there's not much he's going to do on the field if he gets the ball at all in test rugby. So I think with his, and I know last year or 2 years ago with Heineken Meyer, he had a tendency of making substituting the entire front row at once after 55 minutes. Then it became a known tactic of his. So I think Ellis Dickensian needs to invest a lot in his bench and trust his bench to be effective, and so that he knows, if I'm starting, I know I need to give the coach 60 minutes, and after that I can sit on the bench and look at the other guys finish off the match. And so now we've got players who don't know if they're going to be substituted in the 60th minute or the 70th minute, so they don't know how much to reserve in the tank. These guys are men, these guys are human, these guys, you know, they tire during the match, so they also want to know how far, you know, I have to stretch myself for this particular match with the guy that I trust on the bench coming on and finishing things off. So I think that's what he needs to work on, substitutions, and trusting Hendrik Pollard and giving him the license to express himself, because I've watched some of the highlights from some of the matches, Scotland, New Zealand, that was a screamer of a match. Scotland taking it deep into the match, but you know, New Zealand managing a win. But some of the tries that I saw there, you know, it's tries that I was saying to one of my friends, you wouldn't dream of those tries. You don't know how that ball got there. You don't know how Damien McKenzie managed to get off the touchline and cut in without the ball, anticipating that Sonny Bill Williams will flick it, which he did, into the corner, and they go over the whitewash. So it's those things that obviously do come about every single weekend. When you win, you gain momentum and you start trusting, you start having the license to express yourself and be, you know, expressive. So the Springboks right now, they need to string together wins, convincing wins before they get to that stage, but it's those small issues that they need to cut out, like the one that cost them that first try in the first half, where a hoist was, you know, thrown up and no one sort of nominated for the ball like you taught in primary school to nominate for a ball. None of that. Ball bounces, France turns it over, 2 passes under the post, try time. You know, it's second off. Dwayne Vermeulen in the red zone puts his hand over the ball, puts over, tries to slow the ball down. He's caught, and they given a penalty right slap bang in front of the post, and they get another try because of that. So it's those small little things that you do see from experienced players like Dwayne Vermeulen, but in totality the Springboks certainly need to work on a lot, and they need to improve on a lot from Saturday. Yes, they won. Yes, it's a good victory, 18-17. They'll take it. Ellis Dickensian will take it, but certainly plenty to work on for Ellis Dickensian. But more good news for South Africans, rugby supporters and followers, is that RASSIE ERASMUS finally made his way back into the country, finally taking over matters with regards to South African rugby. Today, on Monday, confirmed by SARU that the appointment of RASSIE ERASMUS has started in his new position as Director of Rugby at the Union's headquarters in Cape Town. So that's obviously exciting times for South African rugby. We know what RASSIE ERASMUS brings to rugby in general, and we know what he can bring to South African rugby with what he has, because we certainly do have the talent in South Africa. So maybe good times, maybe happy times ahead, but certainly RASSIE ERASMUS can make some changes that perhaps will aid South Africa and put them in a better position than they are at the moment. But until then, please continue to like, please continue to share, please continue to subscribe, and tell me what you think of the Springboks performance on Saturday, and I'll be sure to return that comment. But until then, yeah man.